Hi, I'm Heather from here booktubes, and today is my December reading wrap up. I can't lie, I've been doing so much end of the year content that filming a reading wrap up is not really what I want to film, but soon we'll be done with all of the end of the year content. We'll kind of be back into the regularly scheduled programming, and reading wrap up is just something that comes around every month, so here we are. In December, I read 27 books. Out of those, I DNF'd 4 of them, so I'm going to talk about 23 of them today. That does mean that I ended 2021 reading 289 books. Obviously, many of those are incredibly short. And yeah, that's where I ended it. December reading was not great. I cannot lie to you. I did read most of the days, but a lot of those days were a single solitary chapter. Cat, do not mess up my camera. Don't do it. Yeah, let's just start. As always, the books are in chronological order if they are available in Kindle Unlimited, at least to the best of my ability. I have them marked KU in the description. They're all listed there, they're all linked there. Some of the books, especially on Amazon, if they have more erotic content, can be difficult to find. So a lot of times your best bet is to use a link in somebody's description. Cat, must you? All right. If you interrupt one more time, sir. Anyhow, the first one is Queen, which is Bloodline Vampires #1 by Katee Robert. While I did give this 5 stars, I don't feel like it quite was as good as maybe the beginning of the series. However, I found it satisfying. I knew that she was struggling to get it out, and I found it satisfying. It hit all the points that I wanted, so I loved it. This is her vampire polyamorous series where everybody's involved with everybody else. And the main character is a vampire. She's half human, half vampire, and she doesn't have the magic that they usually have, so she's been sent as a sacrifice to this vampire who has been starved and locked into this house for many, many years. Cat, you're gonna have to go. Anyways, so this vampire's been starved, and then 2 of his friends show up, and together they make sex magic. So it's good stuff. I actually really loved this series and was happy with the ending. Next, I read Magic Steals, which is Kate Daniels 6.5 by Ilona Andrews. Obviously, I've been doing the Kate Daniels read along with Steph and Megan, so I read quite a bit of Kate Daniels in every month, but I think next month is our last one, so that's coming to an end soon. I gave this book 4 stars. This is a novella that follows Jim and Dolly, and I didn't love it quite as much as the last novella following them, but still very enjoyable. Again, Dolly's doing her magic stuff and Jim is looking menacing, and I really like these characters and was happy to follow them again, and this was one I had never read before. Then I read Yours Insatiably, which is The Hunger Duet #2 by Aveda Vice. The first one, of course, is Feed, a prequel novella, and I gave this 5 stars. I absolutely love this full length. We're following a non-binary fairy who is chaos and goth, and a very uptight, prickly, straight-laced, perfectionist succubus who is hiding the fact that she is a succubus, and their work relationship / friendships / more. And I loved it. I absolutely loved every single thing about this book, and honestly could not tell you to read it more than I already have in all the other videos, but I wasn't sure how much I would love Aveda Vice's full-length novels compared to their shorts, which I adore, and I'm very happy to report that the full-length lives up to all expectations. Then I read Magic Breaks, which is Kate Daniels #7. I gave this 5 stars. This one is a reread for me. It reads kind of like a final book because it wraps up quite a few different storylines. However, it really sets you up for the final 3 books and where Kate and Curran are going with their life and their story, as well as kind of the overall plot continuing to escalate. But this one kind of wraps up quite a bit of what we've been working towards. So it's very interesting. Loved it. Again, this is urban fantasy romance, follows a mercenary and the beast lord of the shifters. It's great. You should read it. I don't know how I'm going to talk you into it if I haven't already, but you should. Then I read Claimed, which is Nightwind Pack #1 by Laurann Dohner. I gave this 3 stars. I love Laurann Dohner's New Spaces series. This one, I just didn't feel like it was as great. It was fine. It was fine. So you have a human who's being hunted through the woods by shifters, and then another shifter rescues her. They're werewolves. She didn't know that werewolves existed. That's never my favorite conflict, but she got over it pretty quickly. And then he also accidentally mates her without telling her, and she gets over that pretty quickly too. I would say there's pretty bad consent, bad communication, it is low angst. It's love, no real internal conflict. So obviously quite a few of us like that. And no third act breakup, which I'm always a fan of skipping that. Then I read Ho Ho Ho, a Christmas short by Rilzy Adams. I gave this 4 stars. This she had teased on Twitter like the idea months ago, and I remember basically this girl found out that her ex was cheating on her and then goes to a bar, and the bartender kind of helps her. One, she has like a great connection with him, but also is like encouraging her to go out there and do it. And this has the use of flashbacks in a way that I actually really enjoyed. I'm not a fan of those, but there was this Christmas, last Christmas was the flashbacks, and basically they have met up again a year later, and she's telling him about her exploits, and he is turned on by that, and then they hook up, and I loved it. Next I have Winter's Arrow, which was X-Clan number 2 by Lexi Foss. I gave this 4 stars. This is Shifter Omegaverse books. This one is kind of a Snow White retelling. You have the evil queen, she's the evil stepmother, all of that stuff, who is a female alpha and won't mate any of her male omegas, and the princess, who is a beta instead of an omega or an alpha and is being married off. Turns out she's actually an omega, and she has like her bodyguards are the dwarves, and she meets the alpha who's going to help her. But Lexi Foss is right on the edge of too dark for me. She's like the darkest that I enjoy, and I feel like the Omega ones, I feel like I'm done with them. They're just kind of dark. I don't love the way that they treat each other. I did still really like it, but I don't think I'm going to continue reading her Omega books. So basically you should just be aware, lots of content warnings, and her consent and her freedom and those things aren't there. They don't exist. Next I have Third Comes Vengeance, which is Promised in Blood number 3 by Lilith Vincent. I gave this 3 stars. This is a mafia dark reverse harem book, which I felt that this finale was not quite as good and it was too long. You get the serial killer mystery solved, and obviously they live happily ever after, but it was all right, but it wasn't great. And this is a series that is very, very dark and is mafia, so be aware of all the content warnings, like all of them. Then I read A Kiss for Midwinter, which is Brother Sinister number 1.5 by Courtney Milan. I have not read the other books in the series. I gave it 4 stars. You have a doctor who, at the beginning of the book, he is shadowing the guy that he's going to take over the practice for, and he just doesn't agree with anything that he does, but he's really been told to shut up and observe or he's not going to get the practice. And they go and they see this teen girl who has an unwanted pregnancy. It's pretty clear that she was taken advantage of. The doctor considers her evil and does not give good advice, and she ends up suffering a miscarriage, but also she remembers the young doctor in the background, right? So then fast forward years later, they again get off on the wrong foot, and he does not realize that she was that girl, even though that girl has kind of haunted him, because he really feels like he should have gone against the doctor, but also what could he do? So it's really bothered him, right? She, of course, vividly remembers this person from one of the worst times of her life, and so she just will have nothing to do with him, and he is just like, she's the one, and she's like, look, I'm not easy, I'm not just because you think you know things, like, but that's not how it is. And he really has a lot of issues with his hoarder father, and he is just a good person who's trying a sweet, prickly romance novella, that Midwinter. And it is historical romance, if that was not clear. Then I read A Second Chance Road Trip for Christmas, which is quite the title. Which is Holiday with the Wongs, number 2 by Jackie Lau. I gave this 5 stars. This is a second chance romance. His mom gets him to drive her back. They get snowed in, motel, forced proximity, one bed, all the things. And he just loves her. And I really liked the second chance because they really broke up amicably in college. They were at different colleges. They just felt like they couldn't drag it out, and they were young. And, you know, they weren't going the same places in life, but now it's years later, they still love each other, and they are in a place in life where they can make it work. And it was really, really sweet. I love them. I love this series, this family. It's Chinese Canadian, and it's just so good. It's so good. It's so good. Then I read Dreamkeeper, which is Dream Team number 4 by Chris and Ashley. I gave this 5 stars. This one has a lot of trauma. Not a lot of trauma. This one has a lot of things that I wouldn't normally like reading about. First of all, there is religious trauma and a cult. A cult. And it kind of starts out almost like it's just conservative Christianity, right? Past the knee skirt, loose clothing, all of that. But it's a cult. But she doesn't really know that. She knows her family is still in it, but she doesn't realize how bad it is or was. Okay. But she is a single mom and she's a stripper, and she has just refused her commando's attention because to get involved with somebody is to get involved with her daughter. And she was blindsided by the fact that she was married to the love of her life and he'd been cheating on her the entire time since before they even got married. So she just doesn't trust, right? So things start off very rocky between them, and he's really upset with her and just done waiting for her and feeling like she's stringing him along and stuff like that. And then of course, she's in danger and he's worried about her, and she finally opens up. And part of the way that she opens up though is her daughter plays matchmaker. And it was just really sweet. There is definitely a content warning for cancer and for cancer not getting treated because of religious reasons. And by reasons, I don't mean that legitimately. So if that would trigger you, it's pretty deep in the book, and I feel like if you don't want to read that, don't read the book, because it's not just like a passing mention. Yeah, I actually loved it. You guys know I don't like religious drama or anything, but I loved it. I was really happy with this installment. I thought that this was like the last book in the series, but I don't think it was, because we did not get the big mystery solved. We continued to make progress towards it, but it wasn't solved. So I guess there's another book coming. I guess. Then I read Current's POV prequel to Magic Shifts. I gave this 3 stars. It was alright. It's just a few pages. It's them moving. And then I read Jim's POV from Magic Breaks, which I gave 5 stars. I loved having his POV of that book. Again, this is just a few pages. It's short. It's not really a full-length novella or short or anything. It's just a little bit of his point of view for what was happening, and I liked getting that. Then I read Jingle Mingle by Alexandria House. I actually read this as an arc. I gave it 4 stars. This is a Black love Christmas novella. It is networking event, older woman, younger man, and they go to a hotel, have a Christmas hookup. It was great. It was hot. Alexandria House writes some steam. It was good. Then I read Finding Christmas, which is Jacob Brothers #1 by Bella J. I gave this 3 stars. I read an outdated version. Amazon isn't pushing her updated version for some reason, which is unfortunate, but it did have the R word in it, and I didn't like that. The updated versions do not. This is Childhood Friends to Lovers, Second Chance. I don't really know what he was doing with this one situation, because his girlfriend that wasn't his girlfriend came, and she was like, oh, okay, so like, am I the other woman? And he's like, no, she doesn't mean anything to me. Like, we're breaking up. I don't even know why she's here, because she said she wasn't going to come. He lost a parent, and that's why he's back home. And then he proceeds to sleep in the same room as his not girlfriend while she's there, even though he doesn't sleep in his own room any of the rest of it. And I was just like, what is happening? Why are you doing that? Because let me tell you, that would be a deal breaker. Like, you're not hooking up with me, going and sleeping in the room with another woman, even though you say absolutely nothing is happening for a couple nights, and then come back to me once she leaves. No can-do'sville, baby doll. That's a no for me. So I didn't like that. But I did like the writing, and I probably will read something else by this author. Then I read She Said Yes by Tasha L. Harrison. This is on her Patreon. It's the follow-up to If She Says Yes, and I read the first scene. It's the airplane on the way to Costa Rica. It's all from his point of view. I have a couple more to catch up on. I gave this 4 stars. It's coming out every Friday on her Patreon, and I'm happy about it. Then on Aveda Vice's Patreon, I read a short, which is Aveda Topping Pie. I gave this 5 stars. Pie is in a cheerleader costume. And again, there's magic in the sexy times. And Pie is usually the very dominant one. And so Aveda kind of taking what she's learned from him and topping him. It was good. It was good stuff. Why is this cat determined to ruin my film? Getters. No. The cat is back in here, so who even knows what's going to happen. Okay, next. I read The Unskilly Prince, which was Maze of Shadows #1 by Catherine Ann Kingsley. I was so excited for this book. I was so ready to love it. The artwork, the cover, the new cover, so hot. And I hated it. I hated it so much. I gave it 2 stars. It was on my worst books of the year list. So we have a human who is taken by an Unskilly Prince, which are the dark fae, basically, if you're not familiar. And the prince needs a wife in order to become king, but when he becomes king, his plan is to kind of wipe everybody out. Cat, you really must not. Okay, all right. And he is definitely misunderstood, but she is just too dumb to live. She is like a witch and she knows not to trust the fae, and she just believes every fae that comes along to her while thinking, can't trust them, no can do, but at the same time literally just, oh, you want to take me over here? Okay, let's go. Oh, you tried to kill me. What a bummer. Well, also this guy, the Unskilly Prince, keeps giving her clothing and food and keeping her safe and protecting her from monsters, and she's just like, you are the worst. You are the fount of all my problems. The fact that I had so many problems before you showed up means nothing. I hate you. And also, even though I want you, I can't do anything with you because you plan on destroying the world and I have to single-handedly stop you. Not a fan. I don't like darker romances where the girl is not on board with the guy's darkness. It doesn't work for me. That's not the dynamic I want to read. If you're going to be dark together and give me 2 villains falling in love, or even one who brings the villain a little bit into the light but still accepts him for who he is, and that is not what we got at all. So the book ends, this is a spoiler, I don't care, I think you should know before you commit all the time. The book ends with her killing herself so that he can't destroy the world instead of marrying him, and he, you know, is heartbroken, and obviously book 2 she comes back to life, and now he's like, I would have given you the world, but you would rather kill yourself than be with me, so now I hate you. No. And I read a review that said like nothing happened in the second book, so not much happened in this one either, and I just don't have the time, patience. I love myself too much. No, I can't do it. Cat, must you? Why are you being so evil today? Cat. Yeah, I don't recommend, but the writing is good and the artwork is so pretty. Then I read Magic Shifts, which is Kate Daniels #8 by Ilona Andrews. Gave it 5 stars. This is the first book that I read earlier this year, so this is the second time this year that I read it. This one made me cry the first time, didn't cry the second time, proud of myself. And we just continue to see Kate and Curran living life at the stage that they're in while trying to beat the ultimate bad guy. That's all I can tell you without spoilers, but loved it. Then I reread Bared to You, which is Crossfire #1 by Sylvia Day. I gave this 5 stars. Listen, this is one of my all-time favorite books. I'm gonna tell you it's trash. I don't mean that in like romance is trashy. I mean like it's not great, but I love it. You have a billionaire with trauma from SA. You have a socialite who has her own job, but her stepfather is incredibly rich. Her mom is a trophy wife, and she has a lot of trauma from SA, like a lot. You don't even get into it at all. Well, you do get into it, hers in this book, but it's a lot. Her best friend, trauma from SA. So like that is a huge content warning for the entire series. Gideon and Ava, I love them so much, but they're hands down one of the most toxic couples that I actually enjoy. They're just not great especially in this book. I was just like, girl, stop doing this. Like, he's not completely wrong and you're completely right. You are just really contributing to the toxicity of this relationship. I love it though. I reread just the couple parts, so kind of skimming just my favorite scenes, all of that. I love it, but also the long list of very valid criticisms for this book and series is long and is valid. Then I read Faux, which is a Mead Realm tale by Kimberly Lemming. I gave this 5 stars. This is in her Mead Mishaps world. This is great. You have a female blacksmith and a demon, and the blacksmith's dad stole some metal from the demon's land, so the demon put a curse on him. So all of their weapons shout vulgarities at their customers, and so their business isn't doing well. So she goes to fix her dad's mistake, and the demon is like, this is perfect. Fake dating, I'll take you to this demon get together for Midwinter, and when they see I have a mate, they'll give me my land. I'll be undisputed. This is gonna work out perfectly. And of course they're actually mates, but it was short, sweet, lovely, funny, everything that I liked about that time I got drunk and saved a demon, but in a shorter form, and I just really, really loved it. Then I read Lore of Olympus Volume 1 by Rachel Smith. I gave this 3 stars. This was probably my bad. I did not like the bad consent pressured into your first time thing that happened in this book. There is a content warning for it in the book, and I just didn't see it, but I didn't like it. This is a Hades and Persephone webtoon, which you can read for free, but they have also published it in this lovely floppy paperback, which I have loaned to my sister, so I don't have, but whatever. I had started reading the webtoon actually, but wasn't loving that format, and so when so many of my friends loved the floppy paperback, I was just like, as much as I'm a digital reader, I want it. I want that floppy experience. The jokes I could make. Anyways, Hades and Persephone, they're not really together, but they do have some good scenes together in this book. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next volume. And lastly, I read Dipped in Holly by Dana Isley. I gave this 5 stars. This is a Christmas age gap, very kinky, erotic short. So she's at a bar, she finds out that her boyfriend has been cheating on her with his secretary, or even her fiance, I guess, and all of his friends knew, and she's not there with any of her friends, she's there with a group of them, so she's crying in the bathroom. The owner of the bar comes and checks on her. He's like a hot older guy, and they end up hooking up. And that's it. But it was really, really good and hot. I like Dana Isley's writing. I do. So that's it. That's all the books that I read in December. Let me know if you read any of these. Let me know if you have any recommendations for me, any strong disagreements with my ratings. And yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.